So one thing I do want to hit on real quick.
Sure.
Okay. So I can tell this means a lot to you
Yes.
because what I would have thought you would have said for this was, I don't know if you want to talk about it or not, but you had cancer.
Oh. Oh yeah.
so,
Oh
so,
yeah.
so I thought that would have been your biggest struggle, but the fact that singing has taken like precedence over that just shows that that means quite a bit. But I don't know if you want to talk
Yeah.
about that or not, but that's
No,
kind of a
that's
big
fine.
deal.
That's fine. We can talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if you want to talk about it,
Um,
because I mean, I would have assumed that would have been your biggest struggle, in my opinion.
yeah. Just the word cancer is always scary, but a lot of times I don't know. There's so many different feelings that you can feel when somebody's diagnosed with that.
Yeah.
So I was diagnosed with breast cancer back in 2020. Just a small little lump. It was about the size of a BB. I got my routine mammograms and um, nothing ever showed up. And I just was doing a self exam one night during bed. I never do it. I don't usually ever do it. And I just kept digging in one spot, which was kind of weird that I would do that until I found it. It was so strange. And then I just felt something inside of me say, you better get that checked. And I thought, no. Because usually if you feel that feeling, you know, you, you usually, you know what it's going to do. You know what it's going to be. So caught it early, stage 1A, so it did not go into the lymphs or anything like that. But there's a lot of denial with that too. I mean, I don't know, you go in it, I don't know, kind of foggy, really. Uh, I mean, I just went into it foggy. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what it meant to have breast cancer. I didn't know what the implications were. Um, so I was numb, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. They give you so much information and you have to make all these dramatic decisions
Kind of on the spot
on
too.
the spot because you're afraid. Okay, so my biggest thing was I don't want it going into my lymphs.
Yeah.
So my biggest thing was let's get this thing out. Let's get it taken care of. And there was a few bobbles, um, with that. So there was a lot of fear factor involved with that. I wanted this out of my body. I didn't want to deal with it. And then, yeah, just nobody. The doctors, they give you advice, they give you options, and you don't know what that means. So you
Yeah.
make the best choice that you can, and then you hope that you're not going to regret it, you know?
Yep.
So,
There's so much information about out there too around
yeah.
what to do if you have cancer, and at the end of the day, it's your life, right? So you have to choose what you want to do.
Yeah. And I remember talking to a girl a couple years prior that I was training in the gym, and she had stage 2 breast cancer, which it did go into her lymphs. And she told me one day while she was working out, she says, this is the most fascinating thing. She said, there's something in my body trying to kill me, but I feel great.
Hmm.
And that always stuck with me because you can't tell when you're at the beginning stages. You have no idea.
Yeah.
You have no clue. And when the doctors suggested that I do chemo, just as a precaution because it didn't go into my lymphs, but they have so many ways of testing reoccurring factors and all this stuff that's way above my head. I was 2% over what they would consider, you know, advice, to take chemo. I think the order was 25% and under. They wouldn't, of the reoccurring factor, I believe it was
Mm.
something, but it was a
Yeah.
reoccurring factor. And I was at 27%. So we had actually decided, no, I wasn't going to do it because that's 2%. I
Yeah.
mean, it didn't make any sense. But then I had this weird dream prior, and then I don't know. It was so weird the way the doctor explained because they can't tell if one little cell is in your system. They get the whole thing, but since it's being fed through your bloodstream, they really don't know if there's one cell that could be in there that could, you know, grow back or whatever. And so she kind of said that if it did come back, it would be stage 4 somewhere else in, you know, brain, liver, or wherever, or something major.
Yeah, and you don't want to take the risk.
No, you don't. And especially with the dream I had was just a really strange dream. And this was after I was diagnosed. It was had to do with a snake attacking me. It was kind of strange, and I didn't associate it, but the way the snake came back is exactly what the doctor described. Kind of, it was higher, it was down further, and it came back with more force. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure.
Yep.
And so I did. I went ahead and did the chemo, and that was a hard day. The day that I lost all my hair. They warned me, but nothing prepares you for that.
Yep.
Nothing prepares you for that. I cried all the way to work. I still worked. I still trained people. Nobody even knew I was going through it because I wore a hat, and I didn't shave off my hair right away. So I had these little tufts that came down. And I had a little ponytail. So nobody could tell what was going on over here. And so nobody could even tell. And until it got to where my ponytail couldn't hold the little rubber band anymore. And I had your dad. I said, okay, babe, it's time. Shave it off. Because it was just like little tufts here and there. And so he did. He shaved it off. And then I walked around the house without covering my head. It was kind of funny. Because I caught him looking over at me one day. And he goes, I'm so sorry. And I said, no. I said, don't apologize. If you shaved off all your hair, I would do the same thing. I would be looking at you like, that looks different. So, and it was okay. And my grandson, I remember we went camping one day, and he said, Gamma, you look like a boy. I said, you know what? I do. It was kind of funny. So, yeah.
So did you not want anybody to know you were struggling?
I didn't really feel like I was. Does that make sense? It's still like you're still in denial, and you're still minimizing things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I did my share of crying and my share of, you know, getting the emotions out, you know, but I don't know. It's just that survival thing in you. You just keep going, right?
Yeah.
You keep living life. You keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, you have to. There's no, I don't know how else I would handle it.
Yeah. I think I was in denial on that whole thing too. Because I remember having a conversation with you, and I always look back at that and think like, I don't know. I wish I would have been there more with you during that time. A lot, because I think about that. Like, if that was, you know, last moments, I wasn't there. So think about that sometimes. So I think I was probably in denial as well, thinking like, oh, you'll make it through, you'll be good.
Yeah.
Which I guess is a way to cope.
Yeah.
Right. But
right. Minimize denial.
Exactly. Right.
That's the way we cope, right?
Exactly.
Not facing anything.
It's interesting.
Yeah. So, and I think that's just how I handled it. But you know what? I mean, every day we do need to, you know, take the people around us and you know, take it serious, you know,
Exactly.
to invest in our relationships with each other as if they're our last. We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You
So
know?
true.